At a recent English language debate, Elizabeth May had a prediction. She also had a plea. She said that you wouldn't be Prime Minister, and she also said to the current Prime Minister, please God, don't get a majority government. What do you have to do to prove her wrong? And what do you have to do to attract that voter constituency?
Well, what I have to do is what we have been doing this entire campaign, and that is get out our positive message on how life will become more affordable under Conservative government. We know that affordability is the biggest issue. People are feeling like they're working harder and harder, but they're barely getting by or even falling behind. Our entire platform is around leaving more money in the pockets of Canadians. Things like the universal tax cut, leaving $850 back in the pockets of a hardworking couple, our green public transit tax credit, our tax credit for kids' activities, all designed to help Canadians get ahead. Now on the environment, for people who are looking for real action on the environment, we actually have a real plan. Unlike the Liberals' plan, which is a carbon tax that is making everything more expensive and we're falling short of our Paris targets, we have a plan that's going to take the climate change fight global and invest in green technology. So we actually find people say, they're not looking at the Liberals on the environment anymore, they're looking at our party, and now we have to close the deal with them by earning their support.
At that same debate, you have been criticized for being very aggressive towards the Prime Minister. Your comments were very aggressive, let's just say, coming out on the SNC scandal, the SNC-Lavalin scandal, the blackface, brownface pictures scandal. It doesn't have seemed to have hurt the Prime Minister, maybe critically. I'm wondering, why would you continue attacking him? Why wouldn't you focus on your positive messages?
Well, this debate was the first chance that I've had an opportunity to go face-to-face with Justin Trudeau. He skipped out on the Maclean's debate, and he avoided the Monk debate, which meant that it ended up getting canceled. So he's been running away from his record this entire campaign. And I've heard from so many people who are so frustrated. They say, how does this guy get up and say things that he knows isn't true? He's lied about his role in the SNC-Lavalin scandal. He lied about whether or not he put pressure on Jody Wilson-Raybould. He's now blocking the RCMP from doing their job. And I felt all that frustration. This being the first chance for him to actually stand there and have to answer for what he's done, I decided to highlight the fact that with so much of what this guy says, it's all an act. It's all phony. He dresses up, he puts on outfits, and now we know in his life he's at least 3 times put on blackface. But my point was that he's always putting on a mask, that we've never seen the real Justin Trudeau, because he's always pretending to be something that he's not. He pretends to be a feminist, and then he fires 2 women from his caucus just for telling the truth, and fires another female member of Parliament just for not tweeting what a great feminist he is. He pretends to be in favor of reconciliation, and then he fires the first Indigenous Attorney General. He pretends he's going to help the middle class. He's raised their taxes. He pretends he's going to represent Canada on the world stage. He's embarrassed us, and now we have a worse trade deal with the U.S. than he started with. So my point was just how fake Justin Trudeau is, and if voters are looking for authenticity, they can find it in me, because he does not deserve to govern this country anymore.
Okay, I want to ask you about some of the issues that are part of the Conservative platform, and of course, affordability taking a center stage in this election. You've come out with some announcements recently with respect to boutique tax credits, let's call them. Specifically, universal tax cut, you mentioned a few of them, taking the GST out of heating costs, children's taxes. I'm going to give you this moment. What are some of those boutique tax cuts?
Great. Well, as you mentioned, we do have a wide variety of tax cuts. The universal tax cut is not a boutique tax cut at all. It's across the board first income tax bracket, which means that for an average earning couple, they will receive $850 back in their pockets. Some of the other ones that are a little bit more targeted are things like removing the HST and GST off of home heating. That's something that will benefit literally everyone who pays a hydro bill or a power bill. It also helps seniors on fixed incomes as well. We're raising the age credit for seniors. We are also going to boost the RESP grant from 20% to 30%, so that for every dollar you put in to your children's savings account, you're going to get an extra 10 cents under the Conservative government over and above what you're already getting. The Green Home Renovation Tax Credit is a very popular initiative to help people invest in their own homes, to lower their energy consumption, and thereby lowering their emissions as well. So they're going to save on that, and they're going to get a healthy tax credit back.
So I want to ask you, because there are other issues that are also important to Canadians, such as climate change. And I want to pick up on this home renovation tax credit, because you have introduced a climate change plan, but you seem to have done it and have answered questions under the guise or through this prism of these home renovation taxes or through public transit. What do you say to critics that are looking for more out of you or the party with respect to climate change?
Well, of course, there's much, much more in our climate plan. This one is the one that's probably most linked to affordability, and so we've been highlighting that because this is the Green Home Renovation Tax Credit is the one that will leave up to $3,800 in the pockets of a Canadian family or retired couple or anybody really who invests in a home, upgrading a furnace or insulation or windows. It's very, very popular. People are going to save money on their taxes and save money on their bills, and we're going to have fewer emissions. But that's not all we're doing. We're the only party that's talking about taking the climate change fight global. Nobody else is recognizing the fact that we could shut everything down in this country, power every factory down, shut off every car, and all the emissions that Canada emits would be replaced by China, Indonesia, and India in a matter of days. So what we're saying is when you've got countries whose emissions trajectory are like that, and Canada's is relatively flat, why would we chase away jobs and investment from our economy when we can take the climate change fight global? Exporting clean carbon capture technology to places like China, helping those coal-powered electrical plants be retrofitted or upgraded would save hundreds of emissions a year and actually help reduce the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere. And after all, that's the point of this whole of all these initiatives.
Another big issue in this country, I want to bring in some numbers here because I looked at a Government of Canada website. From 2017, 1.18, I want to say, employees in Canada. They're employee-based companies or businesses, let's just say. 1.15 of those, 1.5 million of those are small businesses. So 97% of those are small businesses. Small business contributes to about 30% of GDP per province. Small business is looking to you for help. And tax credits, deregulations is not enough when at the end of the day you say, but you got to pay taxes on those credits that we give you. What do you say to small business who are looking for help?
Well, first and foremost, our message to small business owners is they are not tax cheats. I got my start in life. I was able to pay my way through university thanks to small businesses, both waiting tables in a restaurant and then working in an insurance office. Justin Trudeau called them tax cheats while he was protecting people who had trust funds. We're going to undo the tax hikes that Justin Trudeau put on those small businesses. That's a huge savings for an economic engine in our country. On the deregulation side, that is also very important. Undoing the real patchwork effect of all these government regulations going back years and years and years, that has a huge cost on doing business. So we're going to streamline government regulations to ensure that regulations that affect health, safety, the environment absolutely need to be robust and strong. Other types of regulations that are just leftovers from previous administrations or to address problems that have long since been solved, we're going to unburden the paperwork burden, the red tape burden for these businesses. So a combination of repealing the Trudeau tax hikes and having a smart regulatory approach, that's going to create a very, very positive environment for small businesses in this country.
An issue that a lot of people and voters, Canadians, have been very interested on with respect to you is your stance on abortion. You've recently clarified your stance on abortion, and I guess the sentiment was, why didn't you do it sooner? So I want to know, was it political? Or was it because it was so personal? No,
on this one I have to actually take issue with the way this whole story developed. I have been very open and honest with my position on this. In fact, there are over 3,000 media articles highlighting the fact that I am personally pro-life. My message to Canadians in this election campaign was less about my own personal views on this and more of a message that our government, a Conservative government, will not reopen this issue, we will not change the laws on this, and access will not change. And that was what my focal point was. I've always been happy to answer questions about where I stand personally on this issue, because there are millions of Canadians with different points of view on this issue. Like millions of Canadians, I am pro-life. It's okay to have a different perspective perspective, unlike Justin Trudeau, I won't demonize people for disagreeing with me on a social issue like this. That's his choice. He has a very negative approach to people who don't have the same opinion that he has. But as I said, I've always been open and honest with Canadians, but Canadians can also understand that we're not going to reopen this debate and where the laws and access won't change.
Before we let you go and continue this campaign trail, do you believe in the polls?
There's only one poll I'm really worried about. Obviously, it's hard not to look at them in the morning, and we have a combination of public polls and internal polls. I am very optimistic where we are right now, very happy with the campaign we've been running. Our entire team, we came up with a strategy, we came up with a great platform. I'm very excited for our platform. I'm very proud of the announcements we've been making, and I'm very, very confident about the results on October 21st.
For as long as I can remember, correct me if I'm wrong, it's unusual for a government to be elected for one term.
Yep. It's also unusual for a 32-year-old to be elected Speaker of the House of Commons. It's also unusual for someone to be elected at 25 years old. And I've done a few things that have broken the mold and broken tradition on some things. So I believe this is an example where we have a Prime Minister who just has completely lied to Canadians over and over and over again. He has broken promises, he has embarrassed Canada on the world stage, he has made life more expensive, and he still can't come clean on his corruption scandals. And I believe that Canadians more and more are coming to the conclusion he does not deserve to run this country. He does not deserve to hold the office of Prime Minister.